strong, or I should say, we do. And loopholes. They find loopholes too. Yes. Okay. All right. So there's this week's Torah portion. The Torah is broken up into different portions throughout the year. And this week it is called Mishpatim, which means like commandments, or yeah, commandments, statutes, judgments. It's judgments. And so there's so many different laws that we can go over, and different parts of this Torah portion, but I'm going to talk about just one. I'm just going to pick one of them, make it more simple, and maybe you can remember it better, right? So in Exodus 22, verse 24, it says, "If you lend money to my people, to the poor among you, do not act toward them as a creditor, exact no interest from them." So if you're going to be loaning to your brothers or your sisters, don't ask for any interest. It'll be an interest-free loan, right? You never hear that. It's like never. That's not what we do here in the United States. Okay, anyway. At first glance, this might seem simple. It's simple financial regulation that we do, but there is deeper. It's deeper. It's not just about, do this, but it's more about loving kindness. How would you want to be treated? If you needed a loan, what kind of loan would you want? And you would want a loan where you wouldn't have to pay interest on it, right? And you wouldn't want to be exploited like we are exploited nowadays. And so one of our sages, Maimonides, one of our Rambam, one of he grabbed all the laws from the Torah and made this compilation and listed them out nice and easy to understand. It's called the Mishneh Torah, and in there it is a positive. He said he said in his Mishneh Torah, it is a positive commandment to lend money to the poor of Israel. This commandment is greater than the commandment of charity to the poor, charity to a poor person who asks for a handout, because the latter is already reduced to asking, while the former has not yet sunk to that level. So in his mind, and in the Rambam's mind, he was saying like, once a person is already asking for money, asking for charity, they're already having to be what do you call it? being having shame, right? Because they have to go and ask for money. But if you catch them before that, if you loan before that happens, it's even better. It's a better thing to do, right? It's better to loan someone before they have to go and start asking people for money, and that way you keep them elevated, right? To offer money. We recognize them not as just we're not pitying them, but we're recognizing them as more of a partner, like you're kind of investing in them, that kind of thing. All right, and so you're giving them self-respect. But but it goes further. We have even more. So another one of our sages, I don't know if it doesn't have the name, but it says here in the Talmud, Bava Metzia, it says, one of the sages taught, it just says the sages, so there's many of them that taught this, whoever lends money with interest violates 6 prohibitions, and one who witnesses and writes the loan document violates 2 prohibitions each. And so they're saying like, don't lend money with interest. You're violating all kinds of laws, and it's very bad. It's very severe. Don't be doing that kind of thing. And if you're a witness, say you're not doing the loan, but you're the one who's like writing up the loan, you're also in violation too. That's only for your brother. Yes, only for our brothers. Okay. So because what does charging interest do? Charging interest changes that loan into one that could be exploited, right? And here we know how that is. When you get exploited, you get a loan for a car that you pretty much pay like double the car or maybe more. I don't know. You pay a lot of money for that car, right? Instead of just being able to get a loan and buy that car and then pay that money back, you're paying way more, right? So it's corrupt. And so they're saying, don't be corrupt with your brethren, don't be corrupt, if you're going to loan, loan without interest. It's amazing, right? It's an amazing, for us, I think it's it's an amazing law. So, and then we continue on, and Rashi, one of our great commentators, he was commentating on this verse, and he says, do not be to him as a creditor. Do not present yourself before him frequently like creditors do, for you know that he has nothing to give you. You shall not oppress him by demanding payment. So you won't go around and just, I just gave you money, give it back, give it back, give it back. Like you're not going to be like that either. You're going to, hopefully if you are giving a loan, you'll set some rules about it. Like you have to pay me back a certain amount at a time or something, right? But you're not going to keep bugging that person over and over and over again about it, because you know how it is, right? Okay, so even in the act of lending, we may be sensitive, and we still can be giving chesed, giving loving kindness to that person, knowing that they may be in a tough spot, and that's why the reason that they asked for the loan in the first place, right? So we have to be understanding and loving about it. Now, I have a personal story about this. This actually goes even beyond this lending. When I was a young man, I got out of college. I had this really junky car, and I had to keep filling it up with water, right? If you ever have that experience, when you fill up a car with water, something is really wrong with it, right? It's like burning, it's like the radiator, something's broken, and it's just burning up water, right? So I had to keep filling it up. And then one day, it like totally died. It died, couldn't drive it anymore, and I was stuck. And I asked my friend, who also worked with me at the same place, if he could give me a ride. And so he said, yeah, sure, I could give you a ride. So he started picking me up at home and driving me to work. And then shortly after, he, on a way to work, he said, you know what? My dad wants to give you his car. He's going to get a new car. He wants to give you his old car. And I was like, wow, like really? And he was like, yes, no questions asked. Just, you take it and you can use it to get to work. And I was like, so grateful, to get this car. And it was old, it needed some maintenance and things, but it ran and it worked, right? And I could get to work. And so I was so grateful and happy, and it lasted for quite a long time. It lasted long enough for me to save up to buy another car, a used car that worked well. And I was just so grateful about that. And then when the time came for me to get rid of that car, I actually gave it to another young man who also needed a car. So I like passed it on. I thought like that's the best thing to do in this situation. Why would I try to sell this car when I could pass it to someone that needs it? And so I learned from my friend's dad, and I continued on and passed it along. So that's like even better than a loan, right? That's even better than what what the Torah is asking. But it's still, it's still in the same theme of chesed, of loving kindness, of giving to our brother, right? And I feel like my friend's dad. I mean, we were friends for quite a long time, so he kind of knew me, and I guess he felt like he was investing in me, right? He knew that I was a decent guy, and he wanted to keep it going, keep me, keep my spirits up, keep me working, that kind of thing. So it's like an investment. So if we are giving a loan, if we're looking at it, we're giving we're investing in our either young people or another family that we think they may need the loan, but we also think they will do good, right? If you're going to be giving money to somebody, you could give it to somebody that you don't know very much. You don't know what their rules are, what their values are, that kind of thing. Or you could give it to somebody that they want to follow Torah, they want to follow Yeshua. These are good people. They're not going to lie, cheat me, hopefully, that's what we put it into our, we hope, and what if you're going to give to two different people, at least these people are at least trying, whereas the other people, probably definitely cheat you, right? So, in any case, we are all humans. Issues happen, but we're trying to help our brothers, right? So, but then let's see what does Yeshua say about this, right? Jesus, Yeshua, right? He talks to us about this, and he gives a few examples. In Luke 6, verse 35, he says, "But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High." That's pretty intense, right? You love your enemies, and I don't think Yeshua was talking about your enemies like the Romans who are trying to conquer you, that kind of thing. I think he's talking about your brother who you are upset at and mad at. The brother who's always messing with you, or whatever. It's something you just don't have a good relationship with them. He is telling them to do good to them, to love them, to lend them money, or actually even more so, without expecting anything back. So lend them, and they're, here's the money, and hopefully he'll give it back to me, kind of thing. That's pretty. He's going above and beyond what the Torah says, right? And then also later on, he says in Matthew 5, verse 42, "Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you." So he's also saying, be generous with our brothers, love, care for them, and do not turn them away. If they're asking, give, right? And if they want to borrow, give. Okay. So this works. This Yeshua's talking about this totally connects with what the Torah tells us to do, right? All right. So what does this mean for us? We live in this society where everything is money, interest rates and credit and all this stuff. All these things that are coming on into our lives. It's always, all we're thinking of is profit, loss. If I'm giving this money, I need some, interest to even keep going, right? That kind of thing. But we have to throw all that out and say, Hashem's ways are better than what we think is our ways. Hashem's ways are always better, right? And oftentimes, and it even says in other verses, test Hashem, and it's the one when it says test Hashem, it's like test him by giving. Usually it's by giving. If you give, that's the way you're testing Hashem, and he will always bless you back, right? He will always give you back. He might give you back in a different form sometimes, but oftentimes it does. It might take some time too. You might not even notice. You've been giving for years, and then all of a sudden, years go by, and then you're like, wow, I'm surrounded by blessings, and you didn't even notice it because it slowly creeps into your life, right? You get all these blessings, and so just test Hashem in that way. And so, what can we do? What's something we can do? First we can say, look around and see, do we have anyone that we need, that may need a loan, interest-free loan, right? If you can afford to give someone a loan, and it's someone that's close to you, a family member, someone in need, close by to you, that you that you trust in a sense, but you make them also a fellow believer that's following Hashem and His Torah and His ways. You might maybe want to give them a loan, right? So think about that. And also you think about you actually being partner with them, an investment, right? They might not get any interest, but that giving to someone also in our community, it will come back. It will come back into our community, right? Say someone wants to start a little business or something, and you're like, oh, you need a loan? Here's a loan. And then their business starts getting really good, right? They may start employing other people in our community, right? All of a sudden, your community is blessed because of that loan, right? That's one example. Another one is maybe they need a car like I did, and they need a loan to get a car so they could go to work. And you do that. You give them that loan. They get a car, and now they're able to. Where work is more stable, right? They're able to go back and forth to work, and then their income comes, and it still comes back into the community, right? Maybe they bring yummy desserts for Onig, it's that kind of thing. So it's always coming back, right? We always get blessings back. So think about that. And a second thing, maybe more importantly, is examine how you treat those who owe you money. So say someone owes you money, you remember, like, I loaned them money and he never gave me back money. But I think that what you should do is like, you know what, forgiven. They might not. You may want to remind them one more time, and then just like forget it. This is the last time I'm going to remind you that you owe me money, but after this, I'm never going to ask again, kind of thing. And just forget about it, right? Hashem will bless you. Just forget about it, right? That's the best way to look at it. All right, so I think Hashem, he gives us these commandments, and not because they're easy, right? He gives them to transform us. He gives them to make us to be loving people, to care about our brothers and sisters around us. And he gives us to bond us together so that if my money is your money and your money is my money, we're going to be bonded, right? We're gonna have this connection. And he's also, gives us this, forgiveness and also, righteousness, tzedakah. He gives these things so that we can be better people, right? To be more closer to him, right? To get closer to him and to be more like him. And these are the reasons why. I mean, at least I think all his commandments are like this, or this one very much points to that, right? So with that, I'll leave. Be more generous with one another, care for one another, and be radical, kind of the opposite of the world. Take no interest. Take care of your brothers, and Hashem will take care of you. Shabbat shalom.